Okay, sir. Everyone comments it. Jagdish వదిలేయండి. Right. Okay. So when I ask you to do an activity, if you don't attempt, this is the last time I'll be allowing it. Otherwise, you have seen, right? In 10 minutes, if you are able to finish 3 topics, Kubernetes I can finish in 3 days. యాక్టివిటీలు చేయకపోతే ఇక నుండి అంతే. ఓకే, ఇంకా ఈజియెస్ట్ వే ఉంది. దెర్ ఇస్ ఈజియెస్ట్ వే టు టెల్. ఓకే, ఇఫ్ యూ ఆస్క్ సంథింగ్ ఐ కెన్ ట్రై టెల్ రియల్ టైమ్ లో అది వాడరు. ఇన్ రియల్ టైమ్ దే డోంట్ యూజ్ ఇట్. దట్ ఈస్ అ వెరీ పాపులర్ ఫినామినన్ ఇన్ అమీర్పేట్. లెట్ మీ ఆల్సో గెట్ యూస్ టు దట్. Okay, so when I ask you to do an activity, I expect you to do it, because it is not for me, sir. You are not go and search in any DevOps job. If you find even a single DevOps job where Terraform is not written, okay, out of 20,000 jobs which are in India out of Terraform right now, you will hardly find 10 to 100 jobs where Terraform is not mentioned. Okay, and the thing that the reason why I basically asked you to do that activity is, if you are failing today, we can work on that failures. Okay, but many of you are not attempting. Okay, right? కొంతమంది ల్యాప్టాప్లు కూడా తయారు, నన్ను చూస్తానికి వస్తారు. మీరు నాకు నిజంగా నాకు అంత అందం ఉందని నాకు తెలియదు. రైట్, ఈ విషయం ఇంజనీరింగ్ లో తెలుసుంటే నేనన్నా ఇప్పుడు మీలో చాలా మంది లాగా నేను ప్రేమికుడిని అయి ఉండేము. రైట్, సో from now onwards, when I ask you to do an activity, it is not because of me, not because I am working hard. This is for you, sir. Right? So నిన్న మీరు అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తే నాకు కాపీ పేస్ట్ చేస్తాం రాదు. బ్రింగింగ్ సమ్ స్క్రిప్ట్ అండ్ షోయింగ్ పీపీటీ, దిస్ ఇస్ టెరాఫార్మ్, దట్స్ ఇట్. ఓకే, మంచి రంగురంగులు పీపీటీలు వేస్తాం. ఐ డోంట్ నో ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దట్, బట్ లెర్నింగ్ దట్ ఈస్ వెరీ ఈజీ. ఓకే, I've spoken to many students. I asked them, okay, do you know Python? Yeah, I attended all the classes. వాళ్ళు ఇల్యూషన్ లో ఉంటారు, భ్రమలో బతుకుతుంటారు. రెడీ సినిమా చూసారా? రైట్, దానిలో బ్రహ్మానందం ఉంటాడు కదా, కొత్త ప్రపంచాన్ని క్రియేట్ చేసేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. అలాంటి భ్రమలో ఉంటారు. ఇంటర్వ్యూకి వెళ్ళాక తెలుస్తుంది. రైట్, సో ఫ్రమ్ నౌ ఆన్వర్డ్స్ ఐ డోంట్ ఎక్స్పెక్ట్. I'm not, even yesterday my intention was not that you will all be doing the activity with EC2 created or virtual machine created and everything working. No, what I wanted was you understanding where you are unable to do it, so that we can work on it in these 2 days. Okay, right? So kindly work on these things, sir. Otherwise whatever I deliver in the class, it is of uselessness. And ఇంకొంతమంది రికార్డింగ్ వస్తుంది కదా, అసలు సతీష్ గారిని చెప్పి రికార్డింగ్ ఒక వారం తర్వాత పంపిస్తే ఎలా ఉంటుందని ఆలోచిస్తున్నాను. రైట్, రికార్డింగ్ ఉంటుందని క్లాస్ లో పడుకుంటున్నారు, రికార్డింగ్ పెట్టి ఇంట్లో పడుకుంటున్నారు. राइट, रिकॉर्डिंग है बोल के क्लास में सो रहे हो, रिकॉर्डिंग देखते देखते घर में सो रहे हो, क्या फर्क होने वाला है? इससे कुछ नहीं होगा ना. राइट, and the point which I want to reiterate again is, when I ask you to do something, I'm not expecting you to get the right answer. What I expect from you is right effort, so that you know where you are lacking. Okay, right, sir? So let us get started. Yeah, right, fine then. Amma tea on itara. You will not believe, నార్మల్గా ఎప్పుడో పట్టించుకోడు దీన్ని, అంతే కదా, నిజమే కదా. నార్మల్లీ యూ విల్ నెవర్ సీ లాట్ ఆఫ్ యాక్టివిటీ ఆన్ స్లాక్. సో ఎస్టర్డే నైట్, ఓకే, నేను పగల గురించి మాట్లాడట్లా, రాత్రులు మాట్లాడుతున్నా. జస్ట్ లుక్ ఎట్ టైమ్స్, 8:45. 1:32 2 గంటల 39 నిమిషాలు, 3 గంటల 10 నిమిషాలు తెల్లారి గట్ల, రైట్. 3:45, 4:40, 6:04, 7:18, రైట్. ఇది చూసి ఒకసారి కన్నీళ్ళు వచ్చినాయి పొద్దున్నే నాకు, राइट. ये सब देख के सुबह सुबह आंसू आ गए, रात भर काम कर रहे थे लोग बोल. ओके, राइट. ओके सर. Not this one. ఎగ్జాక్ట్గా నేను ఏదైతే వద్దనుకున్నానో అయ్యే అడగండి నన్ను. ఈజ్ రికార్డింగ్ స్టార్టెడ్. ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ రికార్డింగ్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ ఈస్ క్రియేటింగ్ యూ ప్రొక్రాస్టినేషన్ సార్. యా, ఓకే. ఇంకెవరున్నారు? ఎవ్రీవన్ ఇస్ అప్రూవ్. ఓకే, లెట్ us get started. I will skip yesterday's class and let us look at the day before yesterday's class to see what we have discussed. Right. Fine, sir. So we have learnt about what the workspaces are, and then at the end of the class I have shown you one problem with respect to list and using count. If you use count, let us assume that we have taken a list with 3 items in that. Okay, 3 file names which I wanted to create. After creating, I have changed the second one or removed the second one. What Terraform was trying to do was, Terraform was trying to delete 2 and 3 and create third item again. This is not a very good approach. So first let us solve that. Solving problem with count using for each. Okay, right, sir. So Terraform for each, refer here for official docs, right. So what for each statement basically expects is, it expects key value pairs, or it expects a map. It expects a map. Now let me open what we have done in the last session. I should have written somewhere, right? Let us see. File, open recent, count problem. Yeah. So I've written file names. Okay, right. So initially I have given 3 file names. Okay, and then I've done this. So first what I'll try to do is, let me try to delete this. Okay, Terraform destroy. Yes, so everything got destroyed. Let us go to the problem now. I'll try to create test2.txt. Okay, and yeah, fine. Now let me go to Terraform console. Okay, So what is the variable where we have this list, sir? File names. So to get that, you can use var dot file name. This is what you get. Okay. Now let me try to use a function which is called as toSet of var dot file names. So then this list will become set. Okay. Set is a collection of, what is set? Set is a collection of distinct elements. మీకు సెట్ డెఫినేషన్ గుర్తుండి ఉంటే 10వ తరగతి 3వ తరగతిలో 4వ తరగతిలో చెప్తాను అనుకుంటా. రైట్, సెట్ ఈస్ అ కలెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ unique elements. You cannot have the same element twice in set. Now here, since there is uniqueness, the only thing which you need to do is, if you pass this to the for each, okay, it will not only go by count, now it will go by actual value, because it knows that every item is unique. So now what I'll be trying to do is, I'll be just trying to tell main, I'll not use this count is problematic. So let me try to use for each. If you use for each and directly pass string, it will say that I'm not going to work, because I need something map kind of a structure. So toSet of var dot, what was it, file names. Okay, now let me exit it. Terraform, apply. Okay, what is it? Count acrobat. Oh, now when you use basically for each statement, right, if you want to get everything, you can use each. Okay, so let me try to use each dot key. Okay, right, Terraform, apply. So then it is trying to tell that I am going to create the following stuff. Okay, file name test3.txt, test2.txt, test1.txt, and now if I enter yes, it creates everything. Okay, now let me try to pass apply and hyphen var hyphen file, and let me go to dev.tf vars and remove this test2.txt. We already have test1.txt and test, yeah, dev.tf vars. Now let us see what is it trying to tell. So in the earlier case, if you remember, it was 2 destroy and 1 create. Now it has moved to just 1 destroy. If you have list, try to go with, okay, convert that to toSet and use keys. That is the easier way to get it through. Am I clear on this, sir? Yeah. So first let me go to this folder. Oh, changes with for each. Okay. Ignore the lock info file. Yeah. Right. So refer here for the fix with toSet and for each. And one more thing is screenshot, right? Yeah. Where is terminal? Okay. So just look at, yeah, right. So, okay. So are we clear on this now? Yeah. So generally, whenever you are trying to create pass subnet names now, and if you have doubt that you will be deleting those subnets or you will be changing them, don't try to go with count. Try to go with for each. All you need to do is basically use the list, okay, or two set. Okay. Can we give multiple values in two set and refer them in for each? Sir, actually for each will go through iteration. In iteration, you have to give one structure. Okay. So now let me give something else. I'll try to change this structure, the same file structure in a different way. Okay. So now Terraform destroy. Important problem. Spelling. Yes. Okay. Now let me solve this. How to get total number of items set is using for. Actually, there is no need for me to get total number of items. Okay. So if you want to also, you can use length. There is a length function, right? And you have a variable with. Okay. Right. So I have this. Now what I want to do is let me try to change the input type. Variable file info. Okay. Right. Now over here, I'll try to write type. And then generally when you look into for each examples, where is each? Yeah, you will be basically seeing this. So what is it trying to tell? Map of object. And then in that they are giving basically CIDR block. And let us try to look at the value which they basically pass. Okay, this is subnets, this is fine. Set of string. Okay, or let me go to Terraform for each example. Let me try to take any example on the internet which basically speaks about. Most of them prefer using this is easy. Okay, or let me directly write map of object Terraform. Okay, take anything that comes into your way. Right. So here what he has done is he has basically created, where is the map? Yeah, variables.tf, map of object. And then he has given name, location and tag. And then since it is a map, you need to give key and value pair. So he's trying to tell that this is my first and this is my second. So now I'll try to use the similar structure. Okay. So I'll be trying to tell that variable is map of object of, okay, name equals to string, content equals to string. And then let me try to write default. So I'll try to write, this is my first file. In first file, the content is first and the file's name is 1.txt. Okay. Now I want to write second. Second is equals to, okay. Let me copy paste this and then let me try to write 2.txt and then let me try to write this. If you want, you can try to continue like this. So I have this. So each dot key will give me this. Each dot value will give me this for every iteration. Okay. Now when I'm creating the file, okay, I'll try to tell that for each is equals to var dot file info. And then content is each dot value dot content. Each dot value dot, what was the name which we have given? Name. Each dot value అంటే మొత్తం వస్తుంది ఆబ్జెక్ట్ వస్తుంది. Each dot value will give you this whole object. Now in this you want content, so dot content. In this you want name, so that it is dot name. Okay. So now if you remember subnet information, when we create 6 or 7 subnets or any subnets, all the information of subnet writing in this way is much better than subnet names in one place, public subnets other place. So doing all of that, rather than that, you can basically use this stuff. Okay, in this you can use a boolean, is public, make it boolean, and then pass true or false there. Okay, so now let me try to see whether this works or not. So Terraform fmt, Terraform validate, Terraform apply. Let us see what it is trying to tell. It is trying to create 1.txt, and then it will try to create 2.txt. Okay, let me try to tell. Yes. Okay, now if you change anything, it doesn't matter because we are going with keys. So next time what I'll try to do is, okay, I'll try to go to dev.tfvars, and then what is it, file info. In file info, what I'll try to do is I'll try to copy this stuff, and then let me call it as third, and 3.txt. So if I've removed the second 2.txt information, okay. Now let me try to tell Terraform first. Always do fmt. Okay, Terraform validate. They should not have any problems because what we have changed is variable. And Terraform apply -f, or sorry, -var file is dev.tfvars. Now one changed and one destroyed. So are we clear on this, sir? So if you are passing list, convert that to set so that each element becomes unique. If you are basically thinking of any other structure, map of object is a better structure because for every value which you are passing, there is some information, some key associated to it. Okay, map is nothing but a dictionary, key value pair, just like how we create tags. Okay, let it be Azure or AWS, you'll have a tag name and tag value, right? So that is basically what map is. Okay, right. So voice is not clear sometimes. Voice అయిపోతుంది కదమ్మా అందుకేనేమో. All right. Is my are there any issues over the web with respect to voice quality? Okay. సుమలత మిగతా వాళ్ళు ఎవరికి ప్రాబ్లం లేదమ్మా, ఒకసారి మీరు చూడండి. So it is better to use uh, for each over count. Do you agree with me on this? Yes, right. So refer here for using for each, okay, with map of object structure. Okay, sir, right. Now there is one more thing which is called as Terraform for loop. Okay, right. So over here you can also use for loop. Okay, so for example, if you try to write for over here, you need to try to tell that if it is list, try to pass one value. If it is not a list, you can pass multiple values. Okay, so you can use this for loop. For example, here he is trying to tell that variable is this, and then he is trying to write some expression with respect to for. Very rarely we use it, but it is possible for you to use a for loop also. Okay, right. Okay, so for is I'm ignoring because we have better two options. One is count, the other one is for, and count doesn't have much of a difference. Okay, in count what we do is if you try to write a for example, let me go over here. అలాగే రాశాం కదా ఇదేంటి resource. Okay, so for example, if you try to write count, okay, or whenever you want to build some value, you would be trying to tell that for example, some name in names, and then you would try to do some stuff. Okay, but for iterations, we will generally go with count and for each. That is basically for processing outputs and all that stuff. Okay, good, sir. Now, the next thing which we want to basically speak about now is provisioners. Okay, and now when you open Terraform provisioners section, you will see one interesting thing. Okay, refer here for provisioners. Okay, are you saying the statement? Right. So provisioners are a last resort. So Terraform is trying to tell you that use this if you don't have any other option. Okay. So if nothing works out for you, then try to use provisioners. That is what Terraform is basically making a statement. Why? The reason is, okay, provisioning and provisioners are different. Right now, I'm speaking only about provisioners, right? Provisioning is a concept. Provisioner is something which exists in Terraform, which helps in doing provisioning. Okay, right. The point is here, the model which we are following is called as immutable infrastructure. So the basic principle among or behind immutable infrastructure is when there is any change needed to be done in infra, change template, not okay. So for example, you want to add one more security group to the EC2 machine or to Azure virtual machine. The easiest option which you can think is, okay, let me go to the machine and add it over there. But this design or this approach of immutable infrastructure tries to tell that let it be small change or let it be a major change. Try to have all of this, okay, driven from templates, driven from your configuration or driven from your IAC, infrastructure as code, but not directly by changing infrastructure. Okay, so this is what basically they recommend. Okay, now the other thing whenever we are trying to look at immutable infra is, okay, every change needs to be version control. For example, I have changed security group, make that change, add it to Git, store it in the Git, so that you have a history of all of the changes which you have basically done. Okay, right. Now what is provisioning? Provisioning is once you create something, and after that, for example, we have created a Ubuntu machine. In that, I want to install Apache server. Okay, so provisioning means what you try to do is you try to log in into the machine and then install it. Okay, so to log in into the machine, what is that you need to know? You need to know credentials. You need to know credentials. So in Terraform, you are basically giving username, password, or key username and key information. Okay, which is not considered to be secure because there are two problems over here. One is we are basically giving asking them to install the stuff. Okay, but we are also giving secure credential information in the Terraform templates, which is not a very secure approach because there you might be passing username or key informations. Even if you pass a key, you will be basically trying to take that key from some path on your system, username and password. So to fix this, what people do is, okay, let me not use this, let me use some vault service. Vault is where you store all the usernames and passwords in some secured fashion. What Terraform is trying to tell us, why do you want to do all of that? There is a better way of handling this. Okay, so you can do all of this basically by considering, even if you want to install a new software, consider it as change in infrastructure. Delete and recreate the virtual machine. That is what Terraform is recommending. But not everyone agrees to that. In that scenarios, we will be using provisioners. Okay. So for example, EC2 machine is already created. So what Terraform directly is, according to this documentation, is trying to tell us, today night you have got a new release. Okay. Consider new release as change in infrastructure. That means delete the virtual machine and recreate. That is what Terraform is trying to. Most of the people don't like that idea. They say, yeah, why do I need to remove all of that? It takes a lot of time. So why don't I go into that machine, just update, because it is all about running 2 or 3 commands. Okay. So that's the reason they have said that Terraform provisioners are the last resort, because in that you can do these kind of loophole things. In other things, it is not possible. Any change, it will recreate. Any change, it will recreate. So are we clear on this? Yeah, right. So if Terraform is not asking us to install provisioning, okay. So first of all, why do I require provisioning? By till now, we know that I can create infrastructure. That is, I can create virtual machine, I can create database, I can do all this kind of stuff. But for you to start testing, in dev environments, UAT environments, system test environments, your application also needs to be deployed, right? So how am I going to deploy that application? That is provisioning. That is provisioning. So earlier, what Terraform used to tell us, I will give you Chef provisioner, I'll give you Puppet provisioner, I'll give you all sorts of provisioners. So all you need to do is Terraform provisioner, try to write Chef and give Chef code. Ansible they have not given for a different reason, but the whole point of this was, I'll give you provisioners, log in into the machine and install it. Okay. So here we have two problems with this approach. Okay. One is security issue. You are unnecessarily having your credentials in Git, or to solve this problem, you are going to create one more vault service, which was not necessary at all. In this case. Okay. So now Terraform, what it tries to tell us, if you really want to pass the data, every cloud has something called as custom data or user data. Every cloud has something called as custom data or user data. Custom data or user data is a script that gets called when your virtual machine is being created. Okay, let it be Azure, or let it be AWS, or let it be GCP. That is what it is trying to tell. It is trying to tell that, okay, yeah, it is trying to tell that if you really want to pass the data into the virtual machines, these are the options which you have. If you are using Azure, use custom data. If you are using AWS UCT, use user data. Pass these two things and let it do the stuff for you. Okay, don't use provisioners. Okay, so first let us start using this, and then we'll go to the provisioner stuff. Okay. Terraform recommends using cloud init custom data or user data instead of provisioners if possible. Okay, right. So what we will do is, let us try to create one Linux machine in AWS as well as in Azure, and let us try to install Apache server in that. Okay, right. Okay, sir. Fine. So what is the problem with this user data or custom data? It gets called only when your virtual machine is creating. Once it is created, it will not be called. Once created, if you want to call user data or custom data, you need to log in into the machine. What is an advantage of this approach? You don't need to worry about credentials. You don't need to worry about credentials. Okay, so you don't need to manage credentials. So for example, if you are given key value pair, you need not log in from your machine and then try to execute this. Okay, right. Fine then. So let me go over here, and then let me try to create new. And here the problem is installing software post infra creation. Okay, So, and I'm speaking about virtual machines right now. Okay. Let me take an example of AWS, and then let me take an example of Azure. And first, let me work on AWS. Okay. Right. So what I want to do is I want to create a Linux virtual machine in some region in default VPC with public IP. Okay. Now based on this, I expect you to change our entire configuration. If you remember in entire, when we created, we have not got public IP address and all that stuff. Yeah. Right. So now let me try to create provider.tf, or generally providers is a better term. Okay. The next one is resources.tf. Okay. And inputs.tf and data sources.tf. ఓకే, మళ్ళీ సేమ్ పని అక్కడ కూడా కావాలి కాబట్టి ప్రస్తుతానికి ఇక్కడ కావాలి. రైట్. ఓకే, ఫైన్. నౌ లెట్ మీ గో విత్ దిస్ provider AWS. Region is var dot region, and let me go to the variables, and then let me try to tell that I am going to create a variable with name as region, and type is equals to string, default is equals to US West. Okay, sir. Good. Now let us log in into AWS. Okay. Now whenever you are creating a virtual machine, okay, let us just focus on the initial parts. I'm launching an instance. Okay. I'm not worried about all of these details. Let me just go into network information. Where is network? In network, what is the VPC that is selected? Some VPC is basically selected over here. Okay. Now let me go to VPC and look into what that is. Okay, I have only one VPC, and in every region, AWS by default adds something called as default VPC. And if you try to look at it, are you seeing default VPC is yes here? That is your default configuration. So never ever mess with this VPC. Okay. So now how do I get information about default VPC? So let me ask AWS about it. So data. Okay. So I want, or first let me do one thing, sir. CD dot CD. What was this? Provisioning, right? Okay, right. CD AWS Terraform init. Okay. Now Terraform AWS provider. Okay. And whenever you are looking into a provider over here, we'll have two things: resources and data sources. So I'm interested in something which is AWS underscore VPC, but I'm looking out to pull the information. So I'm interested basically in data source. That is AWS. Terraform AWS underscore VPC data source. Let us look at this data source. Okay, so there is a data source called as AWS underscore VPC, and then if you try to look into it, I can give CIDR block, I can give it this, or I can try to tell whether it is default or not. So I would try to tell that I am interested in getting so data source which is AWS underscore VPC, and this VPC will be about default, and now there is an attribute which speaks about is it default, and I'm trying to tell that yes, I'm interested in default VPC, right? So now from here I'll be getting what is my default VPC, and now if you try to look at attributes now, I can get, okay, so probably ID, okay, ID is not mentioned over here, but I can get ID, okay. So now this is the first thing, and data AWS underscore, let us assume subnets or subnet, whatever it is, subnet, okay. So here I want, let me call it as some first subnet in which I want to basically create. So for this, so again, let me go to the Google Terraform AWS underscore subnet data source. Let us look into what the arguments are. Arguments is it requires subnet ID or it requires VPC ID. So let me try to write VPC underscore ID is data dot AWS dot default dot VPC dot, okay, ID, right? Are we clear on this, Ram? So here from here we get this stuff, okay. But the problem over here is in one subnet I can have, or in one VPC I might have multiple subnets. Let me get all of them, okay, default subnets, and in that I'll take first one or second one or last one or whatever it is. సో దీంట్లో ఏమవుతుంది, నాకు డిఫాల్ట్ VPC లో ఉన్న సబ్నెట్లు అన్ని వస్తాయి, నాకు నచ్చింది తీసుకుంటా క్రియేట్ చేసి, okay. So or else if you want only one subnet you can pass the zone, try to tell which zone it belongs to, but for now I don't want to get into that stuff, okay. So do I have subnet ID now? Yes. Let us go into this machine creation now. So in machine creation, in network I have VP network and subnet. For this subnet only we need VPC ID first of all, okay. Now let us go to resources and then try to tell that I am going to create a EC2 instance. So Terraform AWS underscore EC2, okay, and then I'm speaking about resource. Do I get AWS underscore instance? So let me try to create resource is AWS underscore instance, and this is going to be my Apache server, okay, right, sir. Now AMI ID for now I'll hard code because I'm quite sure you know how to fetch it from data sources, right? Okay, now let us try to look into the stuff over here. You can look into and try to write it from here also, okay, right, sir. So AMI ID, okay, ideally try to write a data source over here, okay, but for now since I want to save time I am going with Ubuntu, and then let me try to take 22.04, replace this with data source, okay. I'm writing that note so that I want you to do that, or you can basically try to tell to do. Generally it is a good practice whenever you, otherwise you'll forget that we have to change this after we develop this stuff, okay. Now let me go over here, then instance type for now is t2 dot micro, okay, sir. Now I'll come to network interface and all of that stuff, but let me go to the argument reference. I have given AMI. Are using associate public IP address. So let me try to tell associate public IP address is equals to true. Okay, sir. Availability zone, where to start, CPU core count, we have said, we have given all of this. Get password data, host ID, instance type, we have given it, key name. Okay, so right now, ideally you should be passing the key name. Again, I am hard coding this. Okay, so the reason for that is because I'm quite sure you know how to get this information. Okay, I'll be using my underscore ID underscore RSA. Yeah. Okay, again, to do, replace this with data source or parameter or variable, whatever you want to pass. Yeah. Okay, sir. Now let me go over here. Key name, maintenance options, metadata, monitoring, network interface. Customize the network interface. Okay. So if you want to customize anything to do with network interface, you can do that. I am not going to do all of that. So if you want to tell any particular private IP address, fine. Security groups. Okay. Ideally, we know how to create security group, right? Yeah, but that's okay. So let me try to give subnet ID. So what will be the subnet ID? Okay, default of 0 dot ID. Let us try to look into this data source because we have used AWS underscore subnets. Okay, అక్కడ ఏడిచింది ఇది మన సావలేం కానీ. Okay, so if you look at subnets argument reference, you can give name. Oh, there is no VPC ID over here. It would have failed. ప్రస్తుతాన్ని దీన్నే కిట్టేద్దాం ఆగండి. Let me not give multiple. Let me give only one, and let me ensure that it gets only one value. So how do I do that? I am hard coding this. Okay, availability zone option. Ideally you should be taking this from parameter. So ప్రస్తుతానికి పని చేయాలి కాబట్టి availability zone is equals to, okay, remember interpolation, string interpolation, we have discussed that there are two ways of doing it. One is use format, the other one is use dollar expression. So I'll be trying to write dollar var dot region and then give a. So US hyphen west to a. That is what it is. Okay, right. So now let me go with attributes. In attributes, I can directly use ID now. So let me go with resources. ఇప్పుడు subnet of first dot ID. Is it done, sir? Yeah, right. Let us go to the stuff now. Are you saying user data? Optionally pass user data while launching the stuff. If you want to use 64 base 64 encoded, okay, right? So now whenever you try to change this, what will Terraform do? To make it, it will just stop and start. Okay, user data replace on change. Okay, so whenever you want to basically do this, so this is if you want to pass the user data in base 64 encoded format, because that is what AWS will take. Okay, but that's okay. Let us not get into all of that complication. So let me go with user data. And in user data, if you try to look into it, I am supposed to pass text. I'm supposed to pass string. Okay, so now the string should be something like, or the script should be something like bin slash bash sudo apt update sudo apt install apache 2 hyphen y. So is it a single line string or a multi-line string? Okay, generally how will you pass multi-line now? How? Slash la. We have done that in the morning, if you remember. /n అని రాయినా ఓకే అలా రాత్రి సిరాక్గా ఉండదా చూసేవాడికి రైట్ let me try to do this. Let me basically try to see scripts.sh ప్రస్తుతానికి దీంట్లోకి రాసేద్దాం. Okay, so this is something which I want. Okay, now let me go to Google and then figure out if there is any way. Okay, Terraform read file contents into something. So I think there is a function called as file. So what this function will do? ఏది సోకమంటారు? Right? So do you agree that this is much better? Yeah. So now what I'll try to do is I'll go to resources and then all I'll try to do is I'll try to tell file and the path of that file is, let me try to rename this so that it looks better, apache.sh. Okay, generally it recommends to use double quotes, so let me do that. Okay, fine then. So file, and if you really want to basically ensure that it is what do you call them, it works in any case, are using path.module and then you can use those kind of variables also. Okay, so if you want to read base 64 encoded format, you can do this, but for now this is this looking okay? So I have a Terraform template written, and now in that template what I'm trying to tell is create this EC2 instance, and while you are creating this EC2 instance, try to pass this stuff. Now in this shell file, for example, we'll file shell files to install anything, right? Install Docker, install Kubernetes, anything. Now from Terraform, can I basically try to create a EC2 machine and install Jenkins in that? Yes. All you need is a script which will install Jenkins, a script which will install Ansible. Okay, right, good sir. Okay, so in ARM templates and in what do you call in cloud formation, we will not have these kind of functions, because there we are expressing the data in the JSON format or in the YAML format, and there we will not have much of options. But here we are working in a language that is designed for this purpose, so we'll have flexibility over here. Okay, right sir. Now since anyway we are basically doing this, let me try to do over here and Terraform FMT or wow. Yeah, so it has done this, and Terraform validate. Okay, Terraform apply. Sir, 1 minute sir. Okay sir, now what is it trying to tell? I am going to create an EC2 instance. AMID anyway we have passed, and then it has figured out that key name anyway we have passed. Subnet ID is this. Let us see whether data source has done the right work or not. This is VPC, right? This is VPC. Let me go to subnets, and in subnets I said that I am interested in subnet which is present in US West 2A. Okay, so US West 2A, the last one. What is the ID? 43C2, ends with 43C2. అదే ఉంది ఇక్కడ, right? So now rest of the things looks okay to me. Let me click on yes, security group. We are given open all. Security group ఎక్కడ ఇచ్చాం? known after apply కొట్టేస్తుంది, ఇంకెందుకు నాలుగు గీసుకున్నది? No. So security group is one more thing which I need to basically get. Okay, so for now what I'll do is I'll go to security groups and hard code that value. Okay. I am hard coding, sir. It doesn't mean that you need to do that. Okay. I'm hard coding because my intention is not creating security group over here, understanding the user data concept. Okay. So let me go to the resources and then let me type security groups is equals to, let me go over here, AWS, this is EC2 and yeah, argument reference, and then let us look at security groups. List of security group names to get associated with. Okay. Now let me go over here. Security group. What is the security group name? Open all. So let me try to use that. I'm going to use open all. Now Terraform FMT validate and apply. Always have a look at that plan, because sometimes we might be missing certain. So just now, if you remember, I've missed the security group part. Otherwise, I would have to recreate the stuff. Okay. Now let us try to see. Security group is open all. So things are looking okay now. Let me click on yes. Okay. So what is it trying to tell? Security group open all doesn't exist. Auna. Open all doesn't exist in. Seriously? ఉంది కదా. అవును సార్, ఇందులో ఒక్క విపిసి ఉంది, డిఫాల్ట్ కాదు, ఉండటమే ఒకటి ఉంది విపిసి. So whatever we have is default. Yeah, fine. It's okay. Let us try to look into it. There is something which I might be missing. Security groups. Let me go over here. Security. Yeah, this is better one, right? VPC underscore security group IDs. Okay. It is list of security group IDs. Security group IDs are much safer, right? Because name there might be multiple. Okay. Now let us see. Terraform, FMT, Terraform, apply. Okay, let me click on yes. So if everything goes as per plan, this should create a EC2 machine, and inside the EC2 machine, it should install the Apache server. And I have not given any credential information over here. Yeah, I've used the key pair which exists, nothing. Yeah, it says it has done its job. Ideally, if you use output, we could have got the output of IP address also, but that's okay. So let me go with EC2 instances. Okay, select this IP address. Okay, let me log in into the machine. Yeah, it's done. So is it better? Yeah, this is what Terraform recommends. Yeah, so Terraform recommends that whenever you want to install anything, always use user data section in the case of AWS, right? Right, sir. But anyway, since we have done this, let us ఇది కూడా చేసేద్దాం ఒకసారి. Outputs dot tf. Let me try to write Terraform output, and then let me try to define a output value. So output name is Apache URL. I'm using only that expression, right? Now let me use the format function. Format of http :// %s. Okay, right. And now let me go to the EC2 instance. This is EC2, this is EC2. Yeah. And then let me go to the EC2 కాదు ఇది కూడా ఇదే EC2, right? Attributes. And then let me try to figure out the public IP address. So how would I get the public IP address? Name of your resource. So which is AWS underscore instance dot, I think I've given Apache dot public IP or DNS, whatever makes sense to you. Okay, right? Or you could have written percentage http $/ and then put the double curly braces and use it. So this is the second way of basically doing the same thing. Okay, now let me try to basically do Terraform apply. I am not interested. I just want this stuff to work. Because I'm not changing anything, I've just changed the output. Okay, so are you getting this URL? Just click on this now, you'll be getting this. Okay, sir, fine then. Oh, fine. Save this. Okay, sir. All right. And then added changes to create EC2 with Apache install. Okay. Now shall we do the same thing in AWS? Sorry, Azure. Yeah, right. So in Azure, what I'll try to do is, let me try to create some information so that I don't need to create such stuff, so that I'll be hard coding them. లేదంటే మళ్ళీ మొత్తం అంతా అంటే నేను సావలేను, నా వల్ల అవ్వదు. Right. So there is something called as test bicep. In that there is something called as entire, and in entire there is something called as 3 subnets which are already created. And then let me create network security group. Okay, create NSG again in test bicep. Okay, where I'll try to apply it to the East US region. Here also I'll be using the name open all review and create. Right, sir. Now in this I'll open all the ports, because we have seen how to create a network security group already. Yeah, right. Okay, let me go to the inbound security rules, add a rule which opens all the ports from anywhere. Done. Okay, so do I have this? So let me try to quickly create a cd azure, right? Now I have written all of this. So let me go to the providers and then try to tell that my provider is, if you remember, I'm not writing the Terraform block. Ideally, you should be writing that. Okay. So provider is Azure RM, and we know that we'll have features which will be an empty block, right? Okay. Now let me go to the data sources. So first, let me try to create a virtual machine. Terraform. Okay. So Terraform Azure VM. So what Terraform tries to tell that is, okay, resource has been superseded. You have something called as Linux virtual machine also. If you want, you can use Linux virtual machine. So let me open this Linux virtual machine. Okay. So now over here, what it tries to tell is, whenever you want to create a virtual machine, I need subnet, which I already have. Network interface. This I don't have, right? ఇది కూడా క్రియేట్ చేద్దామా? చేసామా ఇది ఇంతకు ముందు? Did we create network interface in the classroom? Okay, I'll create network interface. That's okay. So to create network interface, all I need is, I need a network security group and I need a subnet to be present. Okay, fine. So let me go over here. So resource Azure RM underscore network underscore interface, and let me call this as webnic. Okay, so Terraform Azure nic. Okay, yeah, with public IP. Yes, right. So whenever you are trying to create a nic, you need to basically give a nic, and then you need to give this information. Okay, so now for this, what is that I need to have? Let us try to look at IP configuration, but first I need to give name and resource group name. And name is simple. Name is webnic itself. Resource group name, that is test bicep. Today I was basically speaking Azure bicep, and as part of that we have created this. Yeah, test bicep. That is what the resource group name is. And location. Okay. Don't hard code, sir, when you are writing. Yeah. So location is East US. And okay. Right. I'm not really interested in tag names also. So when I'm creating a network interface, I have given all of this, and then things that are left is IP configuration. Okay. So let me go to the arguments, click on IP configuration, and then it will try to give you in IP configuration, you can give name, subnet ID, private IP address version, and public IP address ID. So now resource Azure RM underscore public IP. So web IP. I need to create a public IP address also in Azure. So for that, I'll not take too much of trouble. So I need to give all of this, and ఇవన్నీ మనకు అవసరం లేదులేండి, ఎక్కడ నుండి ఎక్కడ వరకు కాపీ చేద్దాం సరిపోతుంది. Okay, and name and resource group name are basically from, okay, not name, resource group and location are basically from here, and then let me try to give it as web IP. Terraform FMT. So it has formatted it this stuff. So ideally you should be creating by giving actual values. I'm hard coding them, sir. Okay. So now In webnick, I need to give IP configuration. Now, in IP configuration, if you try to look into IP configuration over here, I can give name. So name is okay config one, something like this, and then subnet ID. Okay, so where do I get subnet ID, sir? So let me go with data sources. Okay, so Terraform, Azure RM, subnet, data source. Okay, so let us try to basically look into this. Okay, so what is virtual network name? Okay, arguments. If you try to look into, you can give name, virtual network name, and then resource group name. So let me go over here in the example usage, copy all of this. Okay, so now let us look into Azure. If you remember, I have shown you that where is virtual network? The virtual network's name is entire. Okay, resource group is okay. Resource group is test bicep. This is entire. Antenna, and then subnets. Let me take some subnet. Any subnet will work out for me. Okay, subnet hyphen one. Okay, ideally in your case there is no need for you to create a data source because you already have created subnet in your Terraform template itself. All you need to do is use an attribute of that. Okay, so let me go over here, resources, subnet ID is equals to data dot azure rm dot id, right, sir? And then public IP address is equals to azure rm dot web ip dot id. Okay, and now private IP address allocation is equals to dynamic. If you want, you can give a static IP allocation and then try to tell how to basically do that. Okay, so this one, yeah. So private IP address allocation, I want it to be dynamic. Okay, right. And public IP address is static. So do we have a network interface now? There is one last missing piece in network interface. Where is network interface? This is network interface, right? So in network interface, let me go to the argument. I have given IP configuration, location, resource group, edge zone, accelerated, internal DNS label. Okay, primary. Oh, fine. So I've given network interface. And then while I'm creating the virtual machine, where is security group then? NSG, they are giving a network profile in that case. Actually, it's a example. Okay, fine. If it fails, we'll try to look into it. Okay, right, sir. Now, let me go with resource Azure RM underscore Linux underscore virtual machine. And let me call this also as Apache. Ended problem ఏంటి? Invalid multi-line string. Okay, fine. Resource Apache. Right, sir. There was some copy paste mistake. Right. So in this, what I need to do is I need to give name, resource group name, location, size. Okay. And then I can set username and password also. Right. Or I can give basically key value pairs. What is your source reference? All of this stuff. So what I'll try to do is first, let me copy all of this. Okay. And then first thing, name is Apache. And then free machine is standard underscore B1S. This is what the free machine is. Resource group and location, anyway we have it from here. Let me try to copy paste this. Username, let me try to give it as Dell. And network interface ID is Azure RM underscore network interface dot webnick dot ID. Okay, right. So now it is basically trying to tell that in your home directory. Okay, remember the file function? File function reads the contents of your system and all that stuff. Here I am trying to tell that in my home directory, in .sh folder, I have id underscore rsa dot pub. Actually, this is what we want also, right? And then OS disk canonical Ubuntu server. For this, what I'll try to do is I'll try to take help from the work which I have done in Azure class today. In Azure class, if you remember, we have written this information. Okay. We have done the same work in ARM templates and Azure Bicep today. I just need only one thing. Okay. So March 23 ARM templates entire.json. Now over here, if you try to look into, yeah, this one. Are you seeing publisher is canonical? Fine. Offer is, so if you want 22.04, you have to use this. Sir. That is the only thing reason why I'm going to that. And 22.04 and version is latest. Okay, right. Fine, sir. Okay, apply this. That will not cost you, sir, because you can give any name word. Okay, so Terraform FMT. So now everything should be validated. Okay, right. So Azure RM Ubuntu Terraform example. So this is what it is, right? Let me go to the Microsoft's documentation. Microsoft also will give you a documentation on how to do all of this. So there is already a document present which speaks about everything. Okay. Now, if you try to look into it, they are creating a network security group. Let us see how they basically try to attach this. Are you seeing? So you need to basically create this association and write network interface ID and network security group ID. This is required. So let me go over here. Resource. Okay. NIC and security group over here. So what are the things which I need, sir? Network interface ID. So network interface ID is simple. It is Azure RM network interface dot webnick dot ID. So what is the next thing which I want? Network security group ID. But do I have that ID? If I would have created it in my script, I would have used dot ID. So data Azure, 1 minute. Data Azure RM underscore network security group. Okay. And then what is that? Open all. So just go over here because resources name and the data sources name will be same. So Terraform data argument reference. You can give name and resource group name. And I'm quite sure we know both. So name is open all. Resource group name is test bicep. Okay. So let me go over here. Let me cross check whether that is correct or not. Home, resource groups, test bicep, open all. Okay. Now the thing which I need to do is network security group is equals to Azure RM dot not data dot network security group dot open all dot. Am I clear on this, sir? Yes. Okay. We have to still pass user data if you remember. Yeah. Okay. Terraform init. We have not done the init so far. All right. Okay. Now, what is the last missing piece which I need to do with respect to virtual machine now? Public IP, network interface, Linux virtual machine. Let us look into this and then search for custom data. Okay. So there is one more thing which is also called as user underscore data. So here, what is that you need? Base 64 encoded. Okay. So one thing which I want to copy paste from here is, because the script is same, let me try to copy apache.sh. That you don't have any problem, right? Yes. And if you remember, Terraform file function. Okay. What this file function is, reads the content and directly gives that content in the normal format. Are you seeing file base 64? So what this function does is reads all the contents and gives you base 64 format. But in this case, I need to use file base 64. So now let me, whether you use user data or custom data, both are same. Okay. So let me basically try to tell that custom data is file base 64 of apache.sh. Okay. Now, finally, we need output also, right? Yeah. Outputs.tf. So let me try to write output and then Apache URL value. You can use format function or whatever function which you want to use. So let me go to Linux virtual machine first. Where is this? Is Linux virtual machine? No, this is network interface. This is Linux virtual machine. Attributes. If you try to look at attributes, are you seeing public IP address? Yeah. So all I need to do is http:// okay, Azure RM underscore Linux virtual machine dot public IP. Or you can use that format function also. Anything what. Now Terraform that makes sense. Validate. So there is something which I missed. I manage the resource. What is it? Oh, దీని పేరు ఎవరు ఎత్తారు? అపాచీ మిస్ చేశాం కదా మధ్యలో. So resource name is what? Azure Linux virtual machine dot Apache. Right. Now always FMT. And then పని చేద్దంటారా? దేవుడిని ఏమైనా మొక్కుందామా? Terraform apply. Right, sir. I have not written depends on, is it? మనకి పెద్ద depends on కావాలా ఇప్పుడు? చూద్దాం, ఎర్రర్ వస్తే fix it, sir. It's okay. But you understood this user data part, right? User data or custom data in AWS or in Azure is what Terraform recommends. So when you want to do the installation only while your machine is getting created, then this is what you should be using. Okay, right. Now let me try to tell. Yes. Okay, let it create the machine, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. Let us see whether it is working or not. Is it working? Yes. So if you see the IP address, it is 20.115.5.199. We are getting the same thing, right? So this is what Terraform recommends. If you want to install any softwares, try to use user data or custom data so that there is no need for you to have credentials. No need for you to work with credentials. Okay. Audio is not available because I was not speaking, sir. Right? Okay. Okay. Refer here for the changes done in Azure to create a VM with custom data. If you are using GCP also, there will be something where you can do the similar stuff. Okay. So every cloud or virtual machine provider will have this concept of init. This is called as cloud init. Yeah. Right. Now. Right, sir. Now shall we do the same thing from provisioners? So in provisioners, what I'll try to do is in both the cases we have used open all, right? All ports are open. Okay. Now let us use Terraform provisioners. Okay. So now what I'll try to do is Terraform destroy for both the things. Let us destroy this virtual machine, create a virtual machine and do the same thing using provisioners. Okay. Another 20 minutes we'll go out for lunch. Yeah. Right, sir. Let it work on it. Right. Now what I'll try to do is I'll be removing this custom data section in Azure. Okay. Terraform provisioners. Terraform has two kinds of provisioners. One is called as local exec. This executes on the machine where Terraform apply is executed. So wherever you are executing Terraform apply on that machine, local exec will be called. And then there is something called as remote exec. This executes on the remote machine, generally the machine created. And then there is one more thing called as file provisioner which is used to copy file from local in the sense the machine where the system where you are executing Terraform apply to remote. Okay, so and then I'll be closing all of this, sir. Okay, so Terraform provisioners. Okay, so Terraform provisioners, whenever you are trying to use, there is one interesting object that comes into play, which is called as connection. Where is it? Okay, I think I need. Okay, so for remote provisioners and file provisioners copying into remote, we need connections to be managed. So connection is where we'll try to tell what is an IP address, what is the username, what is the password, or what is the IP address, what is the username, what is the key, so that it has to establish the connection to that machine and then log in and then execute. Because remote exec means what? We are trying to tell Terraform, go and log in into that machine and then run this stuff. That is what remote exec is. Local exec is try to run this stuff by running in your local machine wherever you are executing Terraform apply. Okay, so local exec is not that fancy, but generally what we can do is, okay, we can specify when to do provisioning. Okay, so during create or during destruction. Okay, so you can write that when do you want to take it. By default it will run on during create, but if you want you can make it run on destruction also, right? So now let us look at this machine. So this is the machine which we have created. Now I need to log in into this machine on the remote machine, and then I need to execute the shell script. Where is shell script present, sir? In my local machine, that is in the machine where I am executing Terraform apply. Okay, but actually where this should be present, this should be present on the remote machine, because this is the script that needs to get executed. So what Terraform tries to tell is, first establish something called as connection. Establish something called as connection. And whenever you are trying to write the connection block, if you try to look at connection block, okay, let us look at connection. You need to tell type, and the default type is SSH. If you are connecting to the Windows machine, you need to select WinRM. So let me try to write type is equals to SSH, right? And then what is the user, what is the password, what is the host, what is the script path? Okay, so the path used to copy scripts, okay, into remote location. So what is the script that you need to run, or you can try to tell inline and then try to run some commands over here. Okay, fine, whatever it is, let us not worry about this stuff. So type user, who is the user? So user in this case is, okay, we have given that. This is one way of using it, but generally the better way is always Terraform Azure RM underscore Linux underscore virtual machine, and let me see if there is any attribute which can give me username. So is there any attribute which is giving me username? I don't think so. Okay, if it is giving, then you can basically try to use it, but let us see. So now I'm using the strange syntax called as self. So what does self mean? Self means that this current resource. So ideally to write it, what is that you will be using? Azure RM dot Apache dot admin underscore username. So if you are trying to write this connection block in the same resource, you can replace till this point with सेल्फ అంటే ఈ రిసోర్స్ जिस रिसोर्स में आप काम कर रहे हो उसका नाम सेल्फ है. So self dot admin username. And then what is the next thing which we need to pass? Okay, password. We are not using password, we are using key. Okay, so private underscore key. So private underscore key is equals to, we can use the same file function to basically. You could have written del like how I have hard coded over here, but generally you will have some kind of a variable, right? So why do you use variable? Self dot username. So this will establish the connection between your local machine and remote machine that got created. If you have written this connection block within the same resource, then you can use self. Okay, right. Now the first thing which I want to do is Terraform provisioners. Let us try to look at what are the provisioner types which we have in Terraform. Okay, are you seeing file, local exec and remote exec? Okay, so let me click on file provisioner. So I'll try to tell that I'm speaking about file provisioner. So how do you use file provisioner? Sorry, yeah, my bad. Provisioner file. Okay, ఏంటమ్మా? Okay, id underscore rsa, not pub. Yes, you're right. I have to give my private key, not a public key, right? Yes, right. Can you confirm what is difference between local and self? There is no similarity to have difference, sir. Local is a variable, self is a current object, current resource that got created. Yeah, so right, sir. Now if you basically look at file provisioner, let us look at arguments. What is the source? If you want, you can pass content and you can try to tell destination. So I'll try to tell that my source is in the current folder. I have something called as apache.sh, and destination is in the remote machine. I want to copy this in temp/apache.sh. So what it does is it will copy the file from your local machine into the remote Linux machine. Okay, now we have copied the file, but we need to execute this. So again, provisioner remote exec. So you go to the remote exec stuff, and then you can try to write inline. Okay, so inline is basically where you try to tell what is that you want to basically execute. So for us, inline is better at this moment. Let me try to use inline. And what is that you need to do? Inline, okay, /bin/bash or sh, whatever it is. And then the file which I have copied is /tmp/apache.sh. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell is go and call apache.sh function. And now let me go with provisioner file. Where is provisioner file? Yeah, arguments. Okay, so are you saying we basically copy source? If you want, you can copy the content also. Directly try to write the content and it would create some kind of a file. Okay, right. And remote exec, if you try to look into this example usage, is using inline. And if you go to the arguments, you can try to tell that run this script also. Okay, right. Now if you try to do this, this is one way of doing it. Or you can directly try to tell that run the script, and path of my script is /tmp/apache.sh. Or I could have written ఈ script ఈ copy ఇది ఐదరవంతా ఎందుకు అనుకుంటే inline is equals to sudo apt update and sudo apt whatever it is, I'm apache 2 -1. Yeah, whatever it is, I'm going to remove this apt install. let us try to go with the script approach because that is what we have used. /tmp / apache.sh. So if you want to run multiple scripts, not one script, you have multiple scripts to run, then you will be using scripts. Am I clear on this, sir? Yes. So shall we apply this? This is Azure what we have written, right? So Terraform, apply. Or first let me do fmt. Now Terraform, validate. I am miss అవుతుంది host. Yeah, host is what is the machine which I need to connect to? Self dot public IP address. Did you understood that concept of self, sir? Self refers the current resource which you are in. Yeah. Okay. Double this. 1 minute. Give me a moment. Okay, sir. Can self work same as in Python, Babu? Right? In Python, self has something different, sir. Okay. So don't make me speak about Python stuff. Okay. Right. So Python self has altogether a different meaning. That is a current object. Okay. Right. So ఇంకా సెల్ఫ్ అని ఎక్కడ కనబడి అలాగే అంటారు ఇంగ్లీష్ గ్రామర్ లో సెల్ఫ్ అని కనబడితే ఇది పైథాన్ ఒకటే అంటారా రైట్ సో టెరాఫార్మ్ validate which was working and then terraform apply. So over here to the previous case, what is the difference? Here I have to set connection, I have to pass my username and password. Okay, and this also gets executed only when your virtual machine is being created. Okay, so ఎందుకు దరిద్రం డైరెక్ట్ గా దాన్ని వాడుకోమని చెప్తారు. Okay, but there are some workarounds which make this more convincing to the organizations that we will speak anyway. Okay, so while this is working, so shall we do the same thing in AWS? ఒకసారి S కొట్టేద్దాం. Right, let it do its job because we know that it will work or it will fail. Yeah, let me go to AWS resources, and now what is that I need to write? I need to write connection block. In connection block I need to write host. Host it is equal to self. Self is AWS instance dot Apache. So self dot okay public IP, and then user is equals to, in this case the user is Ubuntu, and here also we have, come on man, private underscore key, which is file of, in my home directory I have id or .ssh in which I have id underscore rsa. And what was the other thing? Host ఇచ్చాం, యూజర్ ఇచ్చాం, ప్రైవేట్ కి ఇచ్చాం, ఇంకోటి ఏదో ఉండాలండి. Yeah, type is equals to sh. Okay, that is not an issue. Fine, anyway we'll do format, it will correct. Then provisioner file. Okay, right. దీని బాధ ఏంటి? Okay, provisioner is file, and whenever you're using a file provisioner, what is that you need to do? Source. Source is in my current directory I have or apache.sh, and then destination is equal to /tmp /apache.sh, and then provisioner is remote exec. Now in remote exec, what are the things which I need to do? Malli ratham enduku idi side direct copy chesechi siggu lekunda. Okay, right sir. Now let me go to the AWS part. Things have failed, is it? Okay. System cannot find. Okay, fine. I'll come back to that problem. Right. Path ఏమన్నా తప్పించాం ఇక్కడ. In this it looks okay, right? Yeah. Right, sir. So in this, what I'll try to do is, let me not use file provisioner. There is one problem which I have to speak. I'll speak about it. Let me use inline is equals to sudo apt update, comma sudo apt apache 2 hyphen y install. Yeah. ఏంటి దీని ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి? Okay. Right. Okay, then let me work with AWS file first. Then I'll try to come back to what is the problem with this. First format, then validate. Now let me try to do apply. Okay. Now here, what is it trying to tell? In the remote machine Apache, failed to open the script. System cannot find the path specified. Okay. Right. So let me execute Terraform. I'm using something different. If you try to see, what is it? Taint. Okay. So Azure RM underscore Linux virtual machine dot Apache. Taint command in Terraform means that whenever you execute a taint command, you are trying to tell that next time whenever you execute apply, delete and recreate. Taint వాడితే దాని అర్థం ఏంటంటే నెక్స్ట్ టైం అప్లై చేసేటప్పుడు ఏ రిసోర్స్ అయితే మీరు టెయింట్ చేశారో అది డిలీట్ చేసి రీక్రియేట్ చేయమని. टेंट का मतलब ये होता है, जब आप किसी रिसोर्स को टेंट करते हो, नेक्स्ट टाइम जब आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो उसको डिलीट करके रिक्रिएट करें. Why am I tainting? Because provisioning will be called only when the resource is getting created, not after the resource is being created. So there is no other option. I have to taint it. Okay. So now I do Terraform taint. Okay. And then let me apply the same logic with respect to provisioning in Azure also. Okay. Yeah. And then let me try to tell Terraform apply hyphen auto approve. Right. Taint means what? It will try to delete and recreate. Okay. So for the scripts to run, what should be the permission level, sir? Script run అవ్వాలంటే permission ఏమి ఉండాలి? Linux లో. You should have execute permissions, right? We have copied the file, but how about execute permissions? See how you can fix that issue. After copying the file, do we really need permission issues to run the script? Was that my mistake? Try to cross check. So I think it is trying to tell that I'm going to delete the stuff, destroy and then create. Minus slash plus means I am going to delete and recreate. So and this comes in the cases of taint. Okay. ఇదేనా మీకు వచ్చిన ఇష్యూ? రైట్. ఇది పని చేసిందని అయితే నేను అనుకోవట్లా. పని చేసిందా? ఓహ్! రైట్. So did you got it, sir? Now next time if I want to change the script, what is the option over here? Taint. Taint means delete and recreate. చాలా చిరాకు ఉంది కదా ఇది. So every time you change the script or you change the command that needs to be executed, you are supposed to delete the resource and recreate. So we'll solve that problem post lunch. Okay. But let us see whether this works over here. So but one problem I want you to figure out is when I was copying sh file into the Linux machine and running, why was I getting that error? Okay. Was that a permission issue or file path issue or what was that issue? Okay. Just figure it out. Because you can also copy the same thing. 777 is not a good idea, sir. 777 means read, write, execute to anyone. Yeah. Right. If you really want to give permissions, just give plus X, right? U plus X, G plus X, and A plus X. Okay. Yeah. So it has deleted the machine and it is trying to recreate. Let us wait for this also and then we'll go out for lunch. So did you understand this concept of provisioner versus custom data? So ఏది సుఖంగా ఉంది? రెండు ఒకేలాగా ఉన్నాయి, పెద్ద తేడా ఏం లేదు. కాకపోతే so the only point is if it is provisioner, you have to establish that connection block. You have to write some extra stuff. If it is custom data or user data, we are using clouds feature. Okay. So are you saying it has established the SSH connection? Now logged in into the machine. Now executes whatever you have asked. This is exactly like after creating the machine, you doing SSH and then executing the commands. So from Terraform, can I create Jenkins now? What is it I need? Commands to install Jenkins. Whether you use custom data or provisioner is your choice. Yeah. Okay. They got it? Yes. Okay. Added. Uh, okay. Well, Okay, sir. Online students can attend offline on Saturdays and Sundays or mainly for workshop. You can come down, sir. Yeah, right. Okay then. So did we basically understood this concept of provisioning now? But what is the problem? Every time I change the script, let it be provisioning or custom data, I need to taint. I need to perform taint. Okay. So Terraform taint, okay, is used to mark a resource for recreation during next apply. Okay. When we want to change the script, every time to make it work, we should be tainting. Okay. Right. So post break, okay, lunch break, we'll try to look out for a better solution for this. Okay, that is what I'll be doing during the next post break. So till when do we need break? Right now it is 1:45, right? So 2:30. Yeah, నేను 2:30 and నేను 2:45 వస్తాను సార్, నా బాధ అది. మీరే 2:45 అన్నారు, నేను వచ్చి 3 అవుద్ది, రైట్? సో ఐఎమ్ 15 minutes late, right? So yeah, break till 2:30 p.m. Right, sir. Taint command కూడా కావాలా? ఓకే సార్. Terraform taint resource type dot resource name. Yeah, right. Okay, sir. Sir, am I audible? Over the web? Right, sir. Good. So now before lunch, the problem which we had was every time you change the script, you need to delete and recreate the resource. Not a good idea. Okay. So to solve this problem, we use null resource. In Terraform, there is a resource called as null resource. Null means what? It doesn't create anything. Okay, right? So what we would do is whatever provisioning script which you are writing, we will write it in null resource, and we will trigger something to change in the null resource. Since null resource creates nothing, nothing will happen. Okay, right? So let me basically go over here and Terraform null resource. Okay, all right. So let us look at the scheme of it. So it has something called as triggers. It is map of arbitrary strings. So in this triggers, if you put anything, and if any of those things change, null resource will be executed. Okay, but null resource doesn't create anything. So whenever we change script, we will change something in this triggers, so that null resource executes. When null resource executes, provisioner in that execute, and from this provisioner we will run the script whatever we want to run on the other machine. Okay, right? So shall we do this? First, let me go to Azure. Yeah. So not this. Let me close this count problem. Yeah. This is Azure. Yeah, this is AWS. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay. So first, it is a null provider. Okay. And in this you have a resource which is called as null resource. In null resource you can put any of the triggers, and in triggers you put connection and provisioning. Whenever you want this null resource to be executed, change this trigger. So when you change this trigger, connection will be executed, and this is not impacting what your actual resources are. That is the purpose of this. Okay, right. So resource null underscore resource. Okay, let me call it as executor, and in this let me try to tell. Okay, this is AWS only, right? Yeah, Terraform init. So when you do the init, a null provider will be downloaded. Just like how we used to have that local provider, this is a null provider. And now use triggers. And in triggers, you try to tell that you can do anything. Okay. So for example, here anything that changes. Okay. So rollout underscore version. Okay. And now let me go to inputs, and then let me try to tell that variable rollout underscore version type is equals to string, default is equals to 0.0.0.0. Yeah, I don't see any problem in this. Okay, now let me go to resources. Rollout version is equals to var dot rollout underscore version. Okay, just for the sake of it, whenever I want to do, I'll change this number. Okay, right. Invalid multi-line string. Either enti. Okay, right. Fine then. Now this is the AWS, right? Okay, right. So first thing, let me try to do Terraform apply. Okay, or first let me do FMT Terraform validate. Since null provider was not created, there is nothing, no information about in the resource file. So try to write Terraform apply. Now if you remember, before going to the break, I have deleted it, if I'm not wrong. Did I delete it? No, not delete. Okay, so right now it is trying to tell that you have null provider. Null provider, I have created it intentionally. I have created it like this. Okay, now what I'll try to do is, do you remember all of this? I'll move this from here to here. Okay, but I can't use self.public IP because self means null resource. What we need is this. So AWS dot Apache dot public IP. Okay, now let me try to basically do validate. Okay, now Terraform apply. So right now there are no changes, but here I'll try to write -var rollout underscore version is equals to 0.0.0.1. Do anything that changes it. Okay, So it says that null resource will be replaced. This will not cause any problem because this resource has nothing to do with your architecture. Now let me click on yes. Let us see what happens. It is deleting the null resource. Now connecting into the AWS machine. And now in the AWS machine, it is executing whatever script which you have asked it to execute. Right? Now do you understand the fix for this? Yeah. So don't try provisioning in the resource which you try to create. Try to put that in null resource. For that, add a trigger. And then whenever you want to execute it, change the value of the trigger. Okay. Now for quick consolidation, let us do the same thing, whatever I have done in Azure as well. So let me go over here. First, let me go to inputs. I have not given any inputs. Just okay. Variable rollout underscore version type is equals to string and default is equals to 0.0.0. In there, I have not given default. Here I have given it. Okay. Now let me go to the resources and then try to tell that resources null resource null underscore resource, and then let me try to call it as executor or whatever you call it. And here I'm trying to write triggers. In this triggers, you can give any name because it is map of map. Map means name equal to some value. So here I'm trying to give it rollout underscore version is equals to var dot. You can give other names also. I've just, for me, this came to this is something which I could think of at this moment. So that's the reason I've given that name. So now Terraform FMT, right? Okay. Let me also move this because now we understand this concept. Let me move, and then I can't use self because it is no longer this resource. So Azure RM underscore Linux underscore virtual machine dot Apache dot what is it? Admin underscore username. Now here replace self with this. Okay. Now just let me try to execute this. Okay, I'll execute the same script. If you want, you can change the script also. For example, in game install sudo apt install open jdk -11 -jdk -y, something I want to install. Yeah, right. So Terraform fmt Terraform apply. Now here, but I'll just try to give apply now. Let us see what happens. Oh, Terraform init. Now Terraform apply. Now is there any need to taint? There is no need for you to delete the resource and recreate it because you are deleting and recreating null resource which doesn't create anything anyway. Okay, so this is one of the workaround for the taint problem. Okay, right. So do we understand taint and null resource now? Yes. Okay. This will take time. Yeah. Now it will try to tell that I want to create a null resource provider. Yeah, create it. So whenever it is being created, that script will be executed. Okay. Next time onwards, change the trigger value, then it will be executed. So generally, if you want to run it in multiple machines, run that script in multiple machines, you have to write multiple resource providers. And to write multiple resource providers, I'm quite sure that we can use for each. Get list of all the machines where you want to run it. And then, so for example, over here, what is that changes? These two things, right? So can't I create a for each block in null resource executor where every time I change the connection block? So that every time what happens is each dot admin username and each dot value dot admin username and each dot value dot whatever public IP is. And if you want to do it on 10 machines also, it is possible. So is it installing Java? Yeah. Right. Java takes time, right? But did you understand this concept of null resource? Yeah. So refer here for the usage of null resource in Terraform AWS, and then added changes. Right. For changes in okay, sir. Only when the version value is changed. Yes, it will execute anything when only when something in trigger gets changed. So in trigger, you can rely on multiple values because it is map. Okay. First time when you write it also, it will be created because in the state file there will be one extra information that will be added about this stuff. Now what you need to do is you need to do the combination of virtual machine creation, workspace, backend, right? So that you would have all of this in one stuff. Okay, right? Good, sir. Now building reusable stuff in Terraform or reusable templates in Terraform using modules. So modules are nothing fancy. They are exactly the same thing what we have written. Okay. So there is nothing fancy about a module. Okay. The only thing fancy about it is it can be reused. So to reuse, we have to just use little bit of change of how we try to use these modules. Okay. So very quickly, what I'll try to do is, I'm quite sure that we have written some enter. Enter, I'll not take everything. I'll just only take certain parts. So let me try to go with new folder modules underscore demo. Okay. Over here, let me destroy them, sir. Terraform, destroy, Terraform, destroy. Okay. So over here, okay, let me basically try to write some stuff. I'll be using AWS. There is no issue, right? I'll be creating one virtual network and 5 or 6 subnets. Yeah. So uh, sample. Let me call it as sample or SDN, software defined network or something like this. Okay. Over here, What I'll try to do is I'll try to create, okay, same thing which we all know, providers dot tf, inputs dot tf, outputs dot tf, and then main dot tf. So in provider, okay, what I want to do is I want to use the AWS provider. So provider AWS region. In which region do you want to create it? Oh no, I'll not write. Okay, let me write it. Provider region, and then let me go to inputs and let me define a variable for this. So variable region type equals to string, default is equals to US rest 2. Any problem with this? Okay, right. So region is equals to var dot region. Now, and then let us also, look, I'm not interested in provider sections. Let me go to main.tf and then let me try to tell that my resource is going to be AWS underscore VPC, and then here let me try to call it as enter. Okay. So for VPC, what is the information which we need to provide? Probably we need to give. ఎందుకు వస్తలేదు AWS provider information? Okay. All right. Terraform init. Okay. జగదీష్ బయట శేఖర్ ఉంటాడు, ఒక్క 5 నిమిషాలు ఉండమా. ఓకే. Now let me do init. Okay, sir. So in this, what I'll try to do is resource AWS underscore VPC, and then let me call it as entire VPC. Okay. So in entire VPC, let me try to write CIDR underscore block, and to take this, let me try to define a variable. Come on. Right. Variable. So the variable is VPC underscore CIDR underscore block. Type is equals to string. This is the value. And then if I want, let me try to give default, which is 192.168.0.0. Okay. So the reason why it is called as optional is we have a default value. Yeah. Right. Now let me go over here. Var dot VPC CIDR block. I am not writing tags, but you write tags also. Right. Now let me go over here. /16 machpena. Okay. So variable, and let me call this as subnet underscore info. Type is equals to map of, right? So if you remember, we have used for each. So in this map of object. So in map of object, what I want to try to write is, okay, I'm writing it right. Syntax down tappunda. Okka nimisham. Let me cross check. Map of object Terraform. Let me quickly cross check. మనకు కావాల్సిన తప్ప అన్నీ ఉంది ఇందులో. Okay. Map of object Terraform exam. If it is wrong, it will anyway complain, but this is list of object, that is fine. సావనం ఉండవు కరెక్ట్ నాకు తెలిసి కరెక్టే ఎందుకో తప్పులాగా అనింది ఒకసారి రైట్ ఫైన్ నౌ in this what I want to basically try to tell is public underscore subnets is equals to list of string public underscore subnet underscore names and then private underscore subnet underscore names is equals to list of string. Okay, right. Or I really need not do this. Let me try to tell subnet underscore or name is equals to string and CIDR underscore block is equals to string is underscore public is equals to boolean or bool. Yeah, any problem with this? So I'm creating a map which has 3 values in it. Now let me try to write and the problem enti expected an attribute value. Okay, boolean kada Terraform data types bool. Yeah, default is equals to, okay, let me call it as web subnet and web subnet will have CIDR block of 192.168.0.0/24. E is public is true and name is web. Right. And then let me try to call it as for now DB. I'll be creating only 2 subnets, but if it works for 2, it will work for 20 also. Okay. Now is CIDR block is equals to is public is equals to false and name is equals to DB and 1 dot. Okay, right. So, but how do I create public and private subnets using this information? Just think it. Okay, tell me how to do it. In the meantime, I'll one of my friend has came. You come up with ideas, I'll implement your idea. You understood, right? So I'm in each subnet, I'm trying to tell whether it is public or private. Based on that, I have to create route table association with public or private subnet. Help me out in doing this. Okay, right. So for the people over here, యా లేదంటే ఇంక వేరేలాగా ఏమైనా క్రియేట్ చేద్దాం ఎంతకంటే ఈజీ వే ఏమైనా ఉంటే అది చెప్పండి దాన్ని ఆలకెత్తాం రైట్ ఓకే సో give me 5 minutes. One of my friend has came to meet me. Just give me 5 minutes of time. In the meantime, just think how should if I should be giving 10 subnets also into this. So is there any way to do this? Okay. Or why should I give CIDR block as an input? Why don't I give why don't I skip this also is an option? Yeah. So right. Fine, sir. Yes, Rao, you are correct. Yeah. We have missed all of recording from morning, sir. Padukund congratulations. All right. It's okay, sir. What I've done is basically I've taken a structure where I wanted to use a little bit of decent expressions so that there is no need for you to write too much of stuff. Yeah. Right. And for the user also it is easy because yeah, all he has to pass is total number of subnets and give public subnets. You are seeing the message after you have passed the condition. I'm asking declare tags containing using code like contains here value assigned to the name directly. Can we use the name directly? You can use it anywhere, sir. I'm not trying to tell that this is the only way. Yeah, Venu, whatever you are trying to tell also can be implemented. Yeah, right. Why is it still destroying? Yeah, ఏదో ఒకటి సావనివ్వండి. మనకి దీంతో పెద్ద పని లేదు ఇప్పుడు. Okay. Now, what I want is I want to have outputs. So what are the possible outputs which we would have? VPC ID, public subnet IDs and private subnet IDs. Antena? Okay. Now let me try to put output function. So first thing which I want to give is VPC underscore ID. This is very much simple. So what is it? AWS underscore, come on, AWS underscore VPC dot enter dot ID. Now the next thing which I want is output public subnet underscore IDs. Okay. So how would I get that? Data dot AWS underscore subnets dot public subnets. Okay. And then public subnet dot IDs, because if you look at this data, what was the data which you have used? This is, yeah, subnets. You will get all the IDs. I am giving subnet IDs. Now I want to give private IDs also. So how would I do that? Private underscore subnet underscore IDs. Okay. ఏముంది ప్రస్తుతానికి మళ్ళీ ఇంకో డేటా సోర్స్ రాసేయండి. So try to write the data source, right? And then type is private. దీని రెండిట్ల మీద డిపెండ్ అవ్వమన్నమాట. అవసరం లేదు, బట్ private underscore private underscore subnets. Okay, sir. So did I give outputs of this, sir? Yeah. Now I want to apply. Okay, let me try to do apply. Okay. So totally we are speaking about one VPC and 4 subnets, out of which 2 are public and 2 are private. And when I run this template, it is basically creating 4. Okay. Okay. Copy paste చేస్తే ఇలాగే ఉంటుంది. Right. So here can I basically, what is that is messed up? Public subnet underscore IDs is list of strings. Okay. Depends on AWS dot subnets also, right? Which 4 subnets are creating, will it work? Subnets create చేయకముందు associate చేయగలమా? Okay. Let us try to see. Okay. A reference to a resource must be what is that I'm missing? Oh, no, not this, I want this. AWS underscore subnet dot subnets. Okay. Right. So let me try tell. Yes. Okay. So do I got public subnet IDs and private subnet IDs, sir? Yes. Okay. Now do you agree that it is working? So any member of my team and or any project in my organization, whenever they want to create public and private subnets, I want them to reuse this. That is my basic idea. Okay. So get add dot added reusable. So, but actually it is not reusable so far. Okay, we have written something which can be reused, but it is not reusable so far. I'll make it reusable. Okay, right. So refer here for the template which can create, okay, VPC with public and private subnets. Now we want to make that reusable. Okay, this is our intention. Are we clear? Whatever you have written in Terraform, we want to make that reusable. So now let us see what Terraform tries to tell. Okay, so what Terraform tries to tell is, to do that we need to create modules. Okay, and module is nothing fancy, it is the same Terraform script which you write. So Terraform modules. Okay, right, sir. It speaks about different modules and how to call and all that stuff. So what I'll try to do is, whatever work which I've done over here, okay, I want to make it reusable in this. So I need inputs.tf, main.tf, outputs.tf, but not providers. But not providers. So let me go over here and then let me try to tell that I am creating a modules. In modules, I am going to create something which, let me give some name. So let me give this name as AWS underscore VPC. So what is a module? Module is nothing but a Terraform template which has three things: inputs, outputs, and resources. Anything difficult? Is there anything which we don't know in this? Okay, so right. So Terraform module has inputs, resources, and outputs. So group them logically or group them, and this becomes module. Right, sir. Let me try to show you. Now I have this, right? Okay. AWS underscore VPC and modules and all that stuff. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to basically open Visual Studio Code, and then here what I'll try to do is forget about SDN part over here. I cannot eliminate that, but let me try to write main.tf. This is my module usage. In main.tf, what I've done is I've basically simply said I want to use AWS provider, and my region is US West. So I am the user of whatever stuff which you have created. Now what I'm trying to tell is I want to create a module, and my module name is whatever your folder name is. So what is the folder name which you have given? AWS underscore VPC. Where is it present? In my current directory, there is a folder called as modules. In that there is, and now what is the input that it would take? If you remember, the input it takes is region. So in region you are passing US hyphen west hyphen 2, and then it takes, come on, subnet underscore info. So if you remember, what will be the value of subnet underscore info which we have given? Intena? Yeah. Let me close this and then let me tell that subnets underscore info is what I want to give is, I want to give names is web app, DB, and management. And out of all of this, I have only one public subnet which is web. Okay. Now cd dot dot terraform fmt. Okay, sir. Now if I want to display output public underscore subnets. So module dot AWS underscore VPC dot. So what was the outputs which we have created? Public subnet IDs. So here what I'm trying to tell is, whenever you create a reusable module, generally what is that we would have to call a resource? Argument and attribute. Argument is input, attribute is output. In your Terraform template, all the inputs will become arguments, all the outputs will become attributes. So if you try to see it, we have created an input called as subnet underscore info. I'm using it as an argument. I have written an output which is called as public underscore subnet underscore IDs. I'm using it as attribute. And whenever I want to call my reusable work, I'll try to tell that module AWS underscore VPC. And in source, in my local folder, I'm trying to tell where is it present. Okay. So now the work which I'll try to do is, okay, it has deleted the stuff, right? Now I am also deleting this SDN. I don't need SDN. SDN I've created temporarily to make you understand. Now in here, I'll try to write as many modules as I want. AWS VPC, AWS EC2, Azure VM, whatever you want to, I'll basically call this. Now, for the person who is calling the module, all he needs to do is, he needs to write main.tf, call the module, give the source. So what is module? Nothing fancy. Module is out of your template, you create reusable stuff where you pass inputs, all the inputs which you have written, okay, in your reusable stuff. Okay, any variable which you have defined will become inputs. Any output which you have defined will become outputs. So these are attributes for me. Okay. Oh, sir, these are arguments for me, and whatever I have written in outputs are attributes for me. So let me close this and let me try to call main.tf in the outside, and then Terraform. First, let me do init. So in the provider, you should never have a provider inside the module. Provider should be in the template who is calling your module. Okay. Now Terraform apply. So some other team wants to use this. Now they want to create 7 subnets, out of which 3 are public and 4 are private. They can basically reuse my work. Are we clear on this, sir? So this is the concept of modules. Okay. Right. ఇది ఎందుకు పని చేస్తుందో మీరు చూసుకోండి, నేను అది ఫిక్స్ చేయదలుచుకోలేదు ఇంకా. Get commit -m added modules. Get okay. Right, sir. So do you think we are the first people on the planet to write modules? No, right? Yeah. So refer here for module demo. So when you go to Terraform registry, okay, there are lots of people who have written modules. If you remember, we wanted to create a VPC. There is no need for you to really do that, because all you need to do is select your provider AWS, and then are you seeing modules over here? Now what it tries to tell is, I have written a module. That means he has nothing fancy. He has written the same Terraform template, and he tries to tell that when you call my module called as VPC. But here, if you try to look at source is something different, because it is present in the registry. Just like how we are downloading provider, module also will be downloaded. It is trying to tell that use this module. In this, I am taking the following inputs: name, CIDR, AGs, private subnets, public subnets, enable NAT gateway, and do all of this. When you call this, whatever work they have written will be basically called, and your VPC will be created, so that there is no need for you to write the stuff. Okay. So these are called as community modules, which anyone can reuse. And this place where all of these modules are present, or all the providers are present, are called as registries, or Terraform registry. Okay. So Terraform registry hosts lot of community modules. If you think that you have done anything interesting which community can reuse, even you can publish modules there. Okay. Right, sir. Now for community modules, what you would have is, your module source will be having some strange name. So this is registry, Terraform registry. In Terraform registry, there are AWS modules, and this is the path. Okay. So this is, refer here for sample AWS VPC module, or VPC community module. So now in the same way, if I don't, for example, I want to do something in Azure. So I'll select Azure. And in Azure, there are many things. So for example, in Azure, I want to create virtual network. Okay, rather than you creating it, there is someone who is trying to tell that use this module. I have already written the stuff for you. Azure/vnet/Azure RM. And then whenever you want to use my module, all you need to do is, you need to basically, where is this? They have this document example usage. This is all fine. అవసరమైన తప్ప అన్ని ఇచ్చాడు ఆవిడ తలకు మోసినోళ్ళ. Yeah, right. Sorry, see, he's trying to that use a module called as network, and then this is my source. You tell me what is your resource group, what are the address prefixes which you want, select all of this, and then it would be created. Remember, in our entire network, we wanted to have a private link to Azure SQL. So you do that by doing this. Yeah, but how did he write this? Every module, or every module which is shared in community, will have some GitHub link. Go to there. There will be nothing fancy. It will be the same main outputs variables which we all know. Click on how they have written it. So this will try to tell you the better way of writing Terraform, because these people, when they are writing Terraform, they are writing Terraform in such a way that many people can reuse it. This is always the best way of writing. But don't start here. This is where you should end. ఇక్కడ మొదలెడితే ఏమీ అవ్వదు. ఇలా రాసే ప్రయత్నం ఆదిపోద్ది, అసలు రాతము మర్చిపోద్ది. So once you start writing Terraform, eventually you should come to this state where the work which you do once should be able to, you should be able to reuse it multiple times. Okay, right. Now, but there is one small problem again. So whenever you're using Terraform modules, okay, do you think that you can store the modules in Terraform registry? If your organization modules, can you store it in your Terraform registry so that anyone can use? Okay, ఒప్పుకుంటారా దానికి? Your organization, do you think it will believe on setting wherever you want, servicing module sources? So you can put not only modules in Terraform registry, you can put them in GitHub, you can put them in your S3 buckets, you can put them in subdirectories. So right now what we have done is subdirectories. So if you want to see how to put them in GitHub, So in GitHub, they have HashiCorp, and in that there is something called as example. So for example, if your organization is not using Git, and then they have their own registry, so you can try to give that Git path here. That Git path here. Module source necessarily might not be folder. It can be anywhere in here. Am I clear on this? Yeah, right. So possible module sources. Okay, sir. Now, are we clear on this, sir? Yeah. So now let me remove this. Let me also remove this. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to create a AWS VPC in one in Mumbai and one in Hyderabad region. The problem which I have is I want to create AWS VPC in where, sir? One in Mumbai and one in. But what is the problem? What is the problem with that, sir? In that case, we are speaking about not one provider. We are speaking about multiple providers. So for example, I'm working in Azure. So I want to create something in 2 subscriptions. I'm not using 1 subscription. I'm using 2 subscriptions. Okay, right. So how to do that? Let us quickly do that. Okay. So what is it? Multi-provider. So multi-provider is simple when you are speaking about AWS and Azure. Okay. AWS ఒకటి Azure ఒకటి చేయాలనుకోండి చాలా సుఖం ఎందుకంటే provider AWS and provider Azure RM in the same providers file it will allow. Okay. But here my challenge is, okay, try to write provider AWS. Okay. Now region is AP South 1, which is Mumbai. Okay. So then what I'll try to do is I'll try to give something called as alias. So what is my alias now? Let me call it, you can give any name. I'm calling it as Mumbai. And then let me try to give provider is AWS again. This time region is AP South 2, which comes to Hyderabad. Now if you want, you can give GCP provider also. Multiple providers of different types, there is no problem. With same type, you have to do this. And now in each provider type, if you want to give a different version, that is also possible. Remember Terraform block? Terraform, AWS provider. Okay, use provider. This is what we write, right? Okay. Yeah. Right. Required providers. AWS. Okay. Configuration aliases. This is a configuration for Mumbai. But for Hyderabad, I want different provider. I don't want 40.4.61. I want 4.51. That is also possible by basically playing around this. Okay. ప్రస్తుతానికి ఇది అవసరం లేదు కానీ but what I'm trying to tell is in each provider you can have a different provider revision also, right? Now let me basically go over here and then let me try to create network.tf. So resource AWS underscore VPC. Let me call it as Hyderabad. Okay, right? And CIDR underscore block is equals to enter. Okay, here you try to write Mumbai. But over here, what you need to do is you need to tell what your provider is. My provider is AWS dot Hyderabad, because over here you have given an alias of Hyderabad, and over here you will be trying to tell my provider is AWS dot Mumbai. Am I clear on this? Now I'll not create it, but I'll just show you the plan of how this works out, so that you'll come to know about it. So ikkade చూసేద్దాం ఎందుకు, right? So Terraform init. I've just done init, sir. Now let me do Terraform apply. You do FMT first. FMT I don't want you to never forget. Terraform validate. ఏం మర్చిపోయాం? CADR block equal to enter అని రాశానా? అద్భుతం అసలు. 192.168 0.0/16. Here also I'll do the same thing. Okay. Now Terraform validate. Right? Terraform apply. So is it trying to tell that I'm going to create it in Mumbai as well as Hyderabad? Just let us click on yes. ఎందుకంటే దీనికి పెద్ద టైం ఏం పట్టదు కాబట్టి. Is it done? Yeah. So now let me go to the VPC. Select Mumbai. So can I work on two different accounts now? Yes. So two different accounts means two different providers. Okay. So 192.168. Is it done? Yeah. And then let me go to Hyderabad. Okay. 192.168. Yes. Actually, a better way of doing it is try to create a module. In the module also you can pass provider. So for example, let us assume that I am trying to write this one. ఇదే కదా? Yeah. Module AWS underscore VPC. Are you saying provider? Okay. Right. So you can try to tell that my AWS provider in this module is AWS dot. So you can call the same module twice. Okay. So this I'm just commenting so that otherwise you will unnecessarily get errors. Okay. But for module also you can pass provider. So for AWS provider, try to tell that I'm calling. Yeah. So that you can call the same module twice for two different regions if you have rewritten some work. Okay. Right, sir. ఇది అయిపోయింది కాబట్టి destroy కొట్టేద్దాం. Fine. So did you understood this topic, sir? So can I call multiple providers? Yes. Modules. Okay. So tomorrow what we will do is let us not have a workshop. Let us have a practical session. Okay. So tomorrow basically you will be given an activities. Okay. And that will be a Microsoft Teams session where anyone can join. Yeah. And then but the condition is your cam has to be on. Okay. For JOP people, it will not be the JOP group community. మనం create చేసిన closed group కాదు, open meeting. Anyone can join into that. And Jagdish will be giving you some tasks which you are supposed to complete. If you are facing any issues, they will help out. There will be Jagdish, Santosh, and RK to help. Because I want you to, whatever topics which you have finished so far, let us finish. Let us try to become good at that. And tomorrow he will be giving you some tasks on whatever we have done, whatever is some architectures or some work which will be shown manually, or he will be giving links of the manual creation documentations looking at that, you are supposed to do the activities. Okay, so that will be an activity, and this is for everyone. This is what we do in JYP every day, but let us, since this Terraform is a very important topic, let us do this activity for Terraform and Kubernetes also. Yeah, one full day of practice. Okay, but ప్రాక్టీస్ అంటే మీరు అందరూ ముగ్గులు వేస్తుంటే మీరేమో ఇది ఏంటి ఏమంటారు, పెయింటింగ్లు అయితే తెమలదు, మీరు ముగ్గేయాలి, राइट. सो सब लोग क्या करते हैं वही करना है, अगर आपको अलग करना है तो मत आना, రైట్. ఈ ఈ రేపు ఎవరెవరైతే సెషన్కి అటెండ్ అవుతారో అందరూ అదే పని చేస్తారని నా నమ్మకం. ఒకవేళ మీరు వేరే పని చేస్తుంటే రావద్దు, ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని చేసుకోండి. ఆర్ యు క్లియర్? సో హూ ఎవర్ ఈస్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ దట్ ఈజ్ సపోజ్ టు డూ ద సేమ్ థింగ్. ఈ మీటింగ్ ఆన్ పెట్టుకొని కూర్చొని, సార్ నేను రికార్డింగ్ వింటున్నానండి, రికార్డింగ్ లేనప్పుడు ఈ కనొద్దు, ఎందుకు మనకి ఇక్కడ రావటం అనవసరం కదా. సో టుమారో we'll have a practical session where you will be given some activities, and if you have some issues that will be resolved. Yes, yeah. And then let us have a workshop next weekend. First become good at what you have learned, and then we'll have a workshop next weekend. Okay, next weekend workshop will be a GitOps deployment from GitHub Actions. Whenever some developer submits the code, it will call Terraform, which will create a Kubernetes cluster, and then an application will be deployed in Kubernetes. This is what we are going to do. This is the workflow. Okay, but before we do all of that, let us become good at Terraform. Yeah, right. Okay, can you provide a use case for life cycle? Okay, I'll do one thing. Tomorrow 10 o'clock we'll be finishing it. This session will be from 11 o'clock. Okay, so 11 o'clock I'll try to speak about life cycle. Okay, it will hardly take 15-20 minutes stuff. Yeah, I forgot about that. Is there anything else which I forgot? Terragrant నేను చెప్పను, ఎందుకంటే అది పని చేయదు, అవసరం లేదు కూడా ఇప్పుడు. Okay, because earlier Terraform didn't have this concept of workspaces. Okay, so when Terraform didn't have this concept of workspaces, they needed an external tool to manage switching environments and all of that stuff. At that time, some open source was created which was called as Terragrant. Some companies still use it, but eventually they have to move away to workspaces. Okay, right. So Karthik, thank you for reminding me. I'll speak about life cycle meta argument. Okay, right. And then there is one meta argument which is called as create before destroy. What is it? Create before destroy. In Terraform, generally destroy before create happens. Whenever you make changes, first it deletes and then it creates. But there is a meta argument. We will speak about that meta argument and also what that life cycle meta argument is. I'll try to have a 15 to 30 minute discussion, and then I'll hand it over to Jagadish. And tomorrow's session there is no recording, including this meta. Okay, recording కుదరదు దాంట్లో, రైట్. పనుల మీద ఫోకస్ చేయండి, రికార్డింగ్ ఎందుకు? ట్రిగ్నామెట్రీ రికార్డింగ్ ఉందా మీ దగ్గర? నేర్చుకోలేదా? आपके पास ट्रिग्नोमेट्री का रिकॉर्डिंग है तो कैसे सीख लिया? రికార్డింగ్ ఏదో జీవనాడు అన్నట్టు చెప్తారండి బాబు, రైట్. ఓకే, you are in tomorrow, there is no class, sir. Yeah, if you want life cycle, I'll write notes, read that, sir. Okay, I will not ఒక పావు గంట గురించి రికార్డ్ చేసి అవన్నీ తెమలో కానీ సురేష్, for that life cycle I'll not be able to record. Okay, what I'll try to do is I'll try to write notes, kindly go through that or attend for 15 minutes and then log out. Yeah, okay, right, sir. Fine, sir. So that's what I had for the day. In the 10 minutes I have to start grooming session on there is one more grooming session that are happening, right? So I think you guys need to evacuate little bit quickly. Yeah, right. Okay, sir, thank you. No, sir, you are not supposed to do state file copy by yourself. No. Okay, so there is something called as import, which we will deal in workshop. Terraform state file import, move, remove. Yeah, right. Yeah, sir, it is becoming very difficult. Yes, right. Okay, sir, thank you.